G'day guys, it's great to see you. It's been a while and good to be back together for term 4. We're doing a two-part, two different series this term. The first one is Entrusted, which is all about giving, the Bible and what the Bible has to say about giving. That goes for 3 weeks. And then the second half is, well, the second 6 weeks is 2 Thessalonians, which should be a pretty awesome book as well to get into together. So we're going to get off starting study 1. Study 1's of Entrusted is sort of just a brief introduction to money and what the Bible has to say about money. Obviously can't cover everything. It's one of the bigger topics, especially in the New Testament. So we're going to have a look at a few verses and give the guys in your group the opportunity to talk together about their attitudes to money and think about their attitudes to money. So there'll be some key books, questions that'll get you to go through and have a look at, but hopefully there'll be enough time for you guys to spend a fair bit of time applying it. And that starts off with 2 intro questions. The first one, what different opinions do Christians have about money? So just broach those that get people's different thoughts on that. And Christians have a whole bunch of thoughts on money. One extreme might be money is sinful and it's an obstacle to living the Christian life. The other one is that, I guess, down the prosperity gospel side of things, that the more money you have, the more you're doing right, the more blessed you are. So, yeah, 2 different extremes there. And then ask the questions, what are your feelings about money? Before we even get into what the Bible has to say, it's helpful just to reflect on what you've been thinking for yourself about money and what role that plays in wealth and that sort of stuff. How that it plays a part in your life and where you stand on that. Okay, we read then 3 different sections of the Bible. The first one is Genesis 1:26 to 30 and 2:15. Then Psalm 8 and then Psalm 24:1. So we've got a few passages there. And then we ask the questions, what do we learn from the passages about God's relationship with creation, our relationship with creation, and what jobs or what roles has God given us in this relationship between us and caring for His creation. So the first one is talks all about the earth is the Lord's. He made it. He owns it. In both Genesis and Psalm 24. What's our relationship with creation? Well, God gives us everything. He created animals and plants and gives them to us. He gives us the plants for food, we're told in Genesis 2:15. We're told to look after it. And then point 3 of that, what do we learn from the passages? What jobs? Well, man's told to look after the garden. Psalm 8 talks about the majesty of God's creation and how He has given that to mankind. Where He says, you made Him ruler over the works of your hands, you put Him everything under His feet. So God's given us so much and given us the role of looking after His creation. Then we get into New Testament. Obviously the fall happens. You might like to talk a little bit about that in your group, about the fall, how that's affected what's happened in the world. But then we get into 1 Timothy and a New Testament perspective on wealth and money. Question 3 asks, after reading that, how does God want us to think about money and the things of this world? In 1 Timothy especially, we're called to be content, to recognise we can't take anything with us from this world when we die, and we shouldn't put our hope in our wealth, but in our God. And that's especially verse 17 there of chapter 6. What are the dangers he warns of? Well, verse 9 and 10, people who get rich and want to get rich fall into temptation and traps that plunge them into ruin and destruction, we're told. We're told love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And we're also told that out of the desire to become rich, some people have wandered from the faith. So it's an expensive price to pay for wealth and this money, power thing that we're after. And it's basically a worldly trinkets. And so they're very, very powerful reminders of the danger. What attitude to money do you struggle with? So we go to application here. Because I think it's pretty key, pretty important to get into some application with this bunch of studies. this opportunity as well to ask people, when you ask this question, to just let them stew a little bit. And I don't mean that in a manipulative sort of way to make them feel bad, but actually just to just ask the question: what attitude to money do you struggle with? Because you may not struggle with any, but it's likely that most of us do struggle either to trust God, to want more money than we have, more wealth than we have, or to think that it's terrible, and that's not right either. So give people time to think about that, and then give them the opportunity to share. Because we want people to be able to be open in our groups and share. What attitude to money do you struggle with? I'll give you my thoughts on that in a minute. Actually, for me, I guess when I was thinking a little bit earlier that being content with what I have, that's a struggle for me, just to continually be thinking, yeah, God has given me everything I need. I trust Him. I trust that He works through the good of all things for His people. So just to trust Him with what He gives me and all the situations He brings me. So I keep working hard at and being reminded by the Bible to work hard at that. Question 6, what attitude would you like to take on board in your life from these passages, especially from this 1 Timothy one? Well, I think there's several encouraging attitudes that we can embrace from that. Verse 8, be content with your food and clothing. Verse 17 and 18, put your hope in God who provides everything for our enjoyment. And then He commands them to do good, be rich in good deeds, be generous, and be willing to share. So there's ones that you might particularly like to take out from there. And I think for me there, that being rich in good deeds and generous and willing to share, just being constantly looking for opportunities to do that. It's nice to say I'm willing to share and be generous if the people come to me and ask me for it, but not, it's more work, and it's needing me to be proactive to be the other way around. And then point 7, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? So give people time to come up with concrete examples of how they might be content, how they might trust in God and be generous and willing to share. Spend some time thinking beforehand about how you're going to do that and share that with the guys too. So not too much content this week in the amount of readings to do and the amount to work through the passages on, but more thinking about how can we apply this, and it will lead in well to the sermon, the first sermon on the giving series. So and don't forget to finish in prayer. I've got a few points of prayer that will be aware of the serious dangers of the love of money and the love that the love of money brings. Ask for forgiveness for where we've had sinful attitudes to money and wealth, and pray that God will give us right hearts that are content with what He provides for us, that we won't be constantly searching for more, and that our lives will be marked out as generous lives to share with others in love what we have been entrusted with. Now guys, I'm really looking forward to this term together. I think this will be really helpful this 3 weeks. The Bible talks about money and giving so many times, and we haven't had a look at it for quite a few years as a church, just focusing on the Bible in this area. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. I hope you enjoy it too, and I'll see you next week.